You are listening to the Happy, Healthy, Hot Mom Summit, where you will discover how to be fit, sexy, and energized, even if you are a busy mom. With your host, top female fat loss and hormone specialist, Dr. Michelle Sands.
Hi, and welcome back to the Happy, Healthy, Hot Mom Summit. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Sands, and today we have someone I consider a mentor and a role model, Cynthia Pasquella. Cynthia is a celebrity nutritionist. She's a best-selling author, a media, spiritual leader, and educational leader as well. She's one of the most sought-after transformational nutritionists in the health community. She's also the founder of the Institute of Transformational Nutrition, the only nutrition certification program where students receive an in-depth understanding of holistic health through science, psychology, spirituality to help people create a permanent change in their health and life. Cynthia is famous for inspiring millions of women to discover what they're really hungry for so that they can make peace with food and themselves. And that's what we're talking about today. But first, I want to welcome you, Cynthia, to the podcast.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. Like I said, I've looked up to you for a while. I've actually started following you early in my career in health and fitness and on my journey to becoming a naturopathic doctor. And you have just really inspired me to continue going and really get into the whole holistic health aspect. But Cynthia, I know many people look at you and just think, wow, she must be lucky. You know, she has perfect skin and perfect hair and she has a great body and she's always happy all the time. And she's just so enlightened when it comes to everything health and wellness and being holistic. So it's so easy just to think that you were just born that way. But I wanted you to share your story because a lot of people don't know exactly how you've gone through your own personal transformation.
Sure. I think it's so easy, Michelle, for people, myself included, to look at others and just automatically assume things, right? We just do that. And we automatically think we know their story and we know who they are. And when in fact, it's very rarely accurate, right? And we certainly all have our stories. I didn't used to share mine. If I'm being really honest, it was because I was ashamed and carried a lot of guilt around it and thought, wow, what if people knew? What would they really think? And I think this is great for moms in general. And I'll share my story. I'm happy to do it. But as moms, I feel like we always tend to look at everyone else and think they have it all together. And we always feel inadequate and like we're not doing as good a job as Susie or Barbara or Debbie or whoever, right? And we don't really know what's going on with them or their homes or their children. And I really feel like, one of the things that is so important for mothers, especially, busy moms who have kids and they're trying to do all of these things, is to share that the struggle is real for all of us and that none of us have it figured out. But if there is something we have figured out, let's share that so we can help each other. I really believe that so many of us moms live behind this facade, and we want people to think we have it all together because no one wants to feel like we're a horrible mother, even though we feel that way from time to time. No one wants to. So if we can just start sharing our stories, I just wanted to throw that out there because the more we do, and the more vulnerable we become, the more the better jobs we do at raising our children, at taking care of ourselves. We just relax a little bit, right? We're like, oh, they don't have it figured out either. Good. So yeah, just want to really put it out there. If we could all start sharing our stories, I really think that would serve in a big way. So my story, I wasn't born into a lap of luxury. I didn't have everything handed to me on a silver spoon. We were talking earlier and, you said people probably thought, your dad built your website and all of these things, and it could not be further from the truth. The truth is, several years ago, I found myself on the floor of my little studio apartment in Los Angeles, choosing to end my own life. I was done. It was time for me to check out. I had been depressed for a very long time, and suicide seemed like the next option, and really the only option at that point because, for months I just felt horrible. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue. I was, 35 pounds overweight, had these horrible acne breakouts on my face. I suffered from memory loss. It was so hard to drag myself out of bed every single morning. And, I was working in the entertainment industry and my bank account was, pretty much, it was pretty low, because I was so sick I couldn't work. And I got more and more depressed over that. And the thing is, I had tried everything, and we'll talk about that, because sometimes I heard people say that, and I was like, well, really? Did you really try everything? But I really, truly did. And so I'm in this place, I'm just feeling so horrible. And I woke up one morning, Michelle, I'll never forget this day. And I thought, okay, I'm going to hop in the shower. Today's going to be different. Maybe I can do this. And I had found just a smidget of hope, right? Just this tiny little crack of light shining under the door. And I hopped in the shower and was, taking a shower, and I found a lump in one of my breasts. And I thought, you've got to be joking. Like, you've got to be kidding me. And again, months I'd spent, so much money I didn't have on doctors, trainers, nutritionists. I was hypnotized. I popped the pills. I drank the shakes. Nothing worked, right? And so then I checked and found a lump in my other breast. And it was like my world was crashing around me. And I just got to the point where I was just like, you're kidding. And I remember just sinking to the floor of the shower and just sitting there and just sobbing, just breaking wide open, and everything coming out. And, the water's still coming down, and I just, like, I can't even see in front of me. It's just this darkness. It's just completely encompassed me. And I remember sitting there for a very long time. I just happened to notice that the water was freezing, and I realized that I should probably get out of the shower. And the rest of the day really went by in a blur. I just remember sitting and staring at nothing and just thinking. I was numb. And it's funny, people who are really depressed and suffer from depression, people say, well, cheer up. And it wasn't that I couldn't cheer up. I just didn't feel anything. I was so numb. And so it was maybe, 2, 3 in the morning, and I'm just sitting in this little corner, and there's one, the light shining through my one little window that I had in my studio apartment. And I felt hopeless. I felt worthless. I felt defeated. And I just thought, this is it. I'm done. But the more I realized and started to come to terms with the fact that my life was soon going to be over, and I'm thinking back to all the things that had happened, and I just thought, wow, why me?
Right.
Why me? Why are all of these things happening? Because, you see, this wasn't my first time that I'd faced a big struggle. I grew up in extreme poverty. We had no running water. There was no indoor plumbing. There was an old wood stove that heated our home. And I remember going to bed lots of nights hungry because we just didn't have money for food. And my parents had lost one child. He had died 2 years before I was born. And so, they were struggling. They hadn't had role models for parents themselves. And it was a constant battle. And on top of that, my home was filled with drug abuse, domestic abuse. I was sexually abused at a young age. I experienced loss after loss of loved ones through suicide or car accidents, or, those things that just blindside you on a random Thursday afternoon. So that night, Michelle, I tell you all of this just to tell you, like, that night, just sitting there in that dark corner, feeling like I just had nothing left, I felt like I'd been fighting my entire life. And I was just so sick of fighting. I was so over it. I just kept thinking, why me? And I started to get angry. I was angry at the people I went to help me who didn't. I was angry at myself for getting myself in this position. I was angry at God because I thought, why do you keep doing these things? Why are these things happening in my life? But as I started to ask why me, as I started to reflect, I started to realize that these things hadn't happened to me, but that they had happened for me. And for me, that was a big awakening. I struggled for so long just to get some clarity. And I think we all think, well, what is my purpose? Why are these things happening? What am I doing here? And so for me to finally have that clear, concise thought was pretty amazing. And I thought, wow, I think I'm meant to do something really great, to take all these crazy things and do something really great. And look, for me to say that I was meant to do something great was crazy, because, I grew up with family members who would say things like, well, you're worthless. You'll never amount to anything. You'll never do anything. You're just pathetic. And that's all I heard, right?
Wow.
So I never thought like I would have this idea that I could do something great. I could help people. But that night, I really believed it. It was in me. And I started thinking about all the other people out there struggling, who just needed that extra hand, who needed somebody that had been there before to tell them how to get out of it. And I thought I could do that. could really do that. And, long story short, I went back to school. I got certified in clinical nutrition. I just looked at everything I thought I knew to be true about nutrition that really wasn't true. And I started working on myself. I started working with clients. I started to think, why do we know what to do and we still won't do it? Why? There's bigger questions. There are these bigger issues. I started thinking about, what we're really hungry for and how that impacts the decisions that we make and the food that we put in our mouth. And so I combined all of these things into a method of nutrition coaching that I called transformational nutrition, which really blends the science of what to eat with the psychology of why we know what to do and still won't do it, and the spirituality of discovering what we're really hungry for. And so I've used this, for many years. I've worked with numerous clients. My own health started first, and continues to this day, right? We're all still on our journey. But for me, putting together not just the science, but the spiritual aspect and the psychological aspect really helped me to understand why I was doing the things to my body and also tap into what my body really needed. And when I was able to do that, Michelle, it's like, that's when the magic happened. I really was able to drop the weight like it had never been there. My skin cleared up. I had tons of energy. And the most exciting thing was the lumps in my breast turned out to just be fibrous, which was huge because just a few years later, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so having it that close and have it strike that close, I was just like, whoa, I was just so grateful and am eternally grateful for those things. And now, I just really work to help people who have been where I was or who are currently there, who currently are struggling and just need, some help or just need some support to figure out what they're really hungry for so they can live this amazing life that they deserve, that they're meant for. It's their birthright.
Oh, wow, Cynthia. I've heard that story probably 10 or so times now. And every time I start to cry a little bit. I don't know if it's because I've recently had a baby and my hormones are still, but my God, that's just so powerful how you went from, how you were raised to how your life went. And then to have that moment of transformation, that moment of just empowerment in your mind. And then to take that and to learn how to not only transform yourself, but now teaching so many women to transform not only themselves, but also with your school, teaching people how to help transform other people as well. And that's just, it's amazing. And you mentioned knowing what to eat and knowing what to do and why we don't do it. So I kind of want to get into that a little bit today, because that's something that I find I struggled with in my 20s and into my early 30s. And then also a lot of the clients I work with, that's the big struggle. They know the information is all over the internet, how to eat clean, how to eat healthy, and they know what to do, but why are we not doing it? What do you feel that is?
Yeah. Well, look, I think this is a big conversation, and I'm really excited to start to have it because, yes, if all we needed was a meal plan or a diet book, like we'd all be hot, healthy, sexy, like whatever, happy. We'd raise perfect children, and we would never struggle with anything, our weight, our health, our relationships. And clearly that's not the case because there's 27 billion diet books written every year. You can download meal plans for free. So what is that? Why do we know what to do? And yet we still won't do it. And, this really goes back to looking at a lot of different things. One of the biggest things I feel like that comes up in this conversation is, well, do you think you're worth doing it, right? Mm-hmm. Because if we did, we would be more inclined to take action, right? It's not for lack of knowledge, as we've said. So what I've seen with a lot of women, especially moms, is we don't really think we're worth it. Now, we would do anything for our kids, right? Anything. I mean, a split second, you don't even think about it. You give your life for your children. It's just how you're programmed. Mm-hmm. But what would you do for you? What actions would you take for you? And, here's the thing with women and mothers, we do this in such a big way. I do too. I have a little 5-year-old girl, and I've done since the day she was born. I feel like something shifted in me. But what we do is, let me give this example. When we're born, right, Michelle, we're these perfect little girls. And I'll use women as an example. We're talking to mamas. We're these perfect little girls. If we want something, we cry for it. We see no problem with that. we get it. We share our emotions. We let our freak flag fly. We just are who we are. We don't know any better. We're little kids.
Right.
But something happens when we start to get older. We start to hear things like, you're being too this, you're being too that, you're being too loud, you're being too crazy. Look at little Susie sitting beside her mom being quiet. Little Susie is not running around being crazy. And we start to think that there is something wrong with us, that we are just inherently flawed. And we're like, whoa, well, I better change. And so then we're told, we should go to school, we should get good grades so we can get in a good college, so we can meet Mr. Right, have the 2.5 kids, be a rock star in the boardroom and a porn star in the bedroom and look like a Barbie doll while doing it. Right? That's what we're supposed to do. And that's who we should be according to the media and all of these other, things that we see and hear and read every single day. Mm-hmm. And that's not even the crazy part, Michelle. The crazy part is we buy into that and we're like, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. And we become so busy trying to be who they say we should be that we forget who we are. We have no idea. And when you don't know who you are, you don't know the things that feed you, you're going to have holes. You're going to have voids in your soul, in your spirit, in your heart. And what we do is, because we don't have a great option, we don't know how to feed our heart. Like, no, we don't learn that, when we're going to school. But what we do learn is how to feed our body. We learn to eat. We know how to drink. We know how to watch, to binge watch reality TV, right? We know how to have meaningless sex or take drugs or whatever, like all of those things, gamble, all of those things that we choose to do to fill that hole. So we know what to do, but we're not going to do it because we're hungry. And somehow, Michelle, some way, we have to feel that hunger. And if food does it, and for most of us it does, myself included, then that's what we're going to turn to, right? It's easy. It's easy. It's food. It's, no one gives you a heroin break in the middle of the day, but you do have a lunch break, right?
Exactly. And then also when we're little, we learn to celebrate occasions with food.
Yes.
We learn, like, a lot of times we associate those food, especially the sweet treats, as a reward, as a symbol of happiness and togetherness with our family. And so, yeah, I totally agree. Like, at the end of a long day, if you've had a hard, stressful day, like, there's nothing better than, like, sitting down and eating something delicious to, like, make you feel calm and comforted, right? I mean,
totally. It's like, give me some reality TV and, some fast food and I am good. And then we're not when it's done, right? We usually kind of feel horrible and crappy and we're like, and then we feel worthless and hopeless and we beat ourselves up because we're like, man, I just started that New Year's diet. Now I'm already off the wagon. It's been 2 days or whatever. We create this perpetual cycle for ourselves, right? It's like,
and I don't know what's worse sometimes, especially for women, when they need to have that void that you talk about. So they fill it with something that they're familiar with, which is food or alcohol. And then what happens after, I don't know, it's worse that they eat the food or worse that then they beat themselves up for eating the food.
Right. Exactly. Well, whatever is worse, it creates, it's as we said, just creating that cycle and nothing ever changes, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like we're going to find a new diet. We just have to find the perfect diet and then things are going to be great. And we know that's not true. We know that even as those words are coming out of our mouth or that thought is going through our head, we know that it's not true. And, back to what you said about celebrating with sweet treats, like when we're young and everything, that's one of the key steps that I take with my clients. And it's what we teach our students to do with their clients at the Institute of Transformational Nutrition. And that is to go back and make those connections. I had a client one time who candy bars, that was her thing. She loves Snickers bars. And I have to give her credit. She was really honest. Like when I would have her keep food logs and food journals, as we do, she would write down that she had them for breakfast. She'd write down she had them for dinner. She had no shame. She was really honest. And that was beautiful. I loved her for that. But it turns out that, we were able to go back and I said, what's really your earliest experience with these candy bars? Well, where does that come from? And she said, well, when I was a teenager, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, is there an earlier time you can remember before that? And she said, yeah, actually, there was a time, when I was in elementary school. And I said, great, what about before that? Because the idea is to keep going backward, right? We want to find the root cause of these things so that we can heal them for good and not just keep putting a Band-Aid diet on them. And by the way, not that there's anything wrong with diets, a lot of great diets, nothing wrong with them. That's not what we're talking about here. You just have to use them so they work. So we got back and finally she said she hit on the defining moment for her, the defining event. You see, when she was younger, her mom was a single mom, and which is very difficult. I've been in that role. And she had a boyfriend. She got a boyfriend, and the boyfriend didn't like children. So the mom still wanted the boyfriend to come over. And so what would happen is the mom would put her daughter, my client, when she was just little, in her room, turn on the TV, and she would give her all this candy, right? All these candy bars and snacks to keep her busy and out of the way while she was spending time with her boyfriend so that, she didn't bother her boyfriend. And so for my client, that represented love. That represented care. That was how she felt nurtured. Now, she had this huge hole to just feel love in her body. And, we looked at her relationships. They were all flawed. They were terrible relationships. Her friendships were in a bad place. She just didn't have that love that she does so desperately longed for. That connection is what she was hungry for. The only way she could find to feel it was with the candy bars, because she didn't know what she was trying to feel, right? She had never gone back and done the work and uncovered that. When she did, when we were able to get her to do that, we started looking at, well, what would it mean to feel connection to you? What would it mean to feel that acceptance and that love? And then once she had identified those things, we had her go do them. The crazy thing was, no Snickers bars, no candy, because she didn't need it.
Right.
So the reason we know what to do and we still won't do it, and this is part of the reason, obviously there's a much bigger conversation, is because we have this need, we have this void, and until we figure out what that void is, so we can fill it a different way, we're never going to do what we know we should do. Does that make sense?
No, it makes total sense. If there's a reason that we don't understand,
yes,
we're doing something, until we do understand it, no matter what program we put in place, no matter what strict rules we put on ourselves, we're never going to be able to adhere to that if there's that underlying cause of what we're doing So how would someone figure that out?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the first thing to realize is why we don't figure it out. And it's pretty simple. It's because it's painful and it's not fun. I mean, why would you want to go back there? And I have my own things. One of my own hangups was I never really felt special or like I mattered. And, I remember very clearly on my 7th birthday, no one remembered it was my birthday, and my parents didn't remember. I didn't get a cake. And his mothers were like, what the horror, we would never do that to our kids. But that happened to me, and no one realized. And I remember it was like 8:00 at night, and I'm like, hey y'all, it's kind of my birthday, and I remember my mom was just like, oh yeah, sorry, happy birthday, and let's get you ready for bed or whatever. I was just like, what? Yeah, so in my mind, in my little tiny mind, right, and our parents are always right. We always make them right because we need them to be right so that we feel safe.
Right.
If our parents are wrong, whoa, what does that mean for me? All of a sudden, I'm not safe. I don't feel comfortable, terrified. So that was one of my things, right? Is like, I didn't feel like I mattered to anyone. Like if the day I was born isn't special to my mother, clearly I'm not very important, So for me, that was it. And I realized that that was my thing for a really long time. And I had to get back, why does this fill me? Well, because that was what I was missing, right? So take a look at whatever food it is that you're consuming or whatever it is that you're doing, right? Binge watching, reality, whatever. But food is a great place to start and truly a huge area that we can make such a big difference in. So what is it that you crave? What is it that you have to have? And what's your earliest memory of that? Okay. And here's the thing. Don't try to go back to when you were like 3. Just go back to like when you were 20, or 30. Or go back to when you were a teenager, because what's going to happen is when you're sharing that and you're really going back and you're reliving that moment, it's going to trigger memories of even earlier moments in your life. And you'll keep remembering and you'll keep going back. It's a natural progression. You'll just keep doing it. And then when you get back to that defining moment, tap in, talk to your heart, listen, feel, get comfortable being uncomfortable is the other thing I want to say. Yeah. Really sit in that place, feel those emotions that come up. I know they're painful. I know I've done it. I still go back and visit them. But I'll tell you something that might make it a little bit easier, Michelle. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea how long an emotion lasts?
No. I'd imagine it'd be different for different people, right?
Right. Well, you would think that, right? That's what I thought. And I was like, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like it lasts 17 years and other times, about an hour and a half. I had no idea. Turns out an emotion lasts for 90 seconds.
Hmm.
90 seconds. Now, here's the thing. This is the trick because you can get through anything. I mean, look, we all had babies. We can do
Right.
anything for 90 seconds, right? We've got
Mhm.
this. This is not a problem. The thing that you need to remember, however, is it lasts 90 seconds only if you're not feeding it. Right? And
Right.
that's what we do. That's where the pain comes in. That's why the emotion lasts for so much longer because we wallow in it and we keep replaying what happened over in our head. And, we feel even worse and we perpetuate this idea, right?
Correct.
So let that go. Stop with the stories and just feel. Here's the way I have found that my clients do this in a really great way is they distract themselves. And here's what that means. So you're feeling this pain. For me, it's like, oh, I wanted a cake. I wanted to feel special. And I go back and I relive that and I'm in it and it's painful and it hurts and the tears come. What I do is I go to my body. You got to get out of your head and into your body and start feeling where this physically hurts. For me, it was my chest, right around my heart. I just felt like my heart was breaking and I was really tapped in. I was physically feeling that. When you do that, you stop thinking all of these things. You stop telling yourself the stories so that you can just feel physically the emotion in your body. And then 90 seconds, it starts to fade. It goes. Now, what happens after that is really beautiful because what happens after that is you get clarity. You get answers. You've set through it, right? You
Right.
stayed. You felt the pain and you stayed anyway and you feel it in your body. And now you get clarity and you start to think, whoa, what I really wanted in that moment was to feel like I was seen, to feel like I was heard, to feel like I mattered. That's how you discover your hunger. Now, once you have that, what can make you feel seen? What could make you feel heard? What could make you feel like you matter? Whatever it is for you, we all have our things. And then we fill that void with something that will actually help us heal and not food or alcohol or whatever. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. And not only does it help you, with your body to be the way you want it to be, but then it enhances your whole life, makes you happier, it helps you
Yes.
to follow your passion and your dreams. And that's a beautiful thing. So it can come out learning what your passion in life is and making your life what you want it to be can come out of that pain that you're experiencing. So that's a beautiful
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah, because that pain and that hunger will hold you back from doing everything you want in your life. Everything. See, that's the beauty of transformational nutrition. It's like once we blend the psychology and the spirituality and we get these bigger answers, here's the thing, the weight loss, the health, like for me, that's almost a byproduct
Right.
because the real power comes, like I've had clients who get out of jobs that weren't serving them and
Yeah.
pursue the career of their dreams. They leave relationships that they've been unhappy in for years because now they know they deserve better. They stop settling, they start being who they are, not who they've been pretending to be, and they go after the life of their dreams. They are so empowered. They are so lit up. They change lives just by example. Your children will forever be changed. I guarantee you. They will be so much more empowered. They will know who they are. They will stand in that power if you set that beautiful example for them. It's truly revolutionary and life-changing. And I get so excited about it, Michelle,
No,
because I've
it's
just
so
seen
true.
so many people step into this and create an amazing life for themselves. So that's why I'm just preaching it from the rooftops.
It's beautiful because we don't learn this. You don't learn this stuff in school. You don't learn this stuff in just general life. You learn the opposite. You learn to try to fit yourself into those boxes.
Yeah.
Ends up causing more pain. But it's beautiful because your children will. I always say your children will look at what you do and that's what they're going to follow rather than what you say. So
Right.
I love that if you're doing this for yourself, it's going to benefit your children as well. So, those moms that are still hanging on to giving everything to their children and not taking care of themselves, the
Hmm.
message is this is the gift that you're going to give to your child that they're not going to have to go through this when they're 30, 40 years old,
It's so true, Michelle. And, look, I really believe like we all do the best we can every day, right? It's tough.
Right.
being a mom. It's really hard. But truly, one of the best things I feel like you can give your child is example. Just that power of example. You can tell them one thing, they'll do another. We all do this every day. But when you set that example and they see that, that's what they imitate. That's what they do. And also just, having these conversations with your children when they're young. Like for me, I never processed my feelings. I just didn't. I was a survivor, I had to
Right.
survive. I just went through a lot every single day of my life. I had all these crazy things happening. I remember, my dad actually shot my mother at one time in the middle of the night. Like it's just constant chaos in my life, right? So for me, I just numbed out. I did.
Right.
I numbed through food or alcohol or whatever. I would just shut it down and I just wouldn't ever think about it. I wouldn't feel those feelings. And unfortunately, that led to, my serious struggle, and it almost, ended up with me not being on this planet anymore because I held that down. And I've gone through so much healing and just so much work, like I'm sure a lot of us have. But what if we could teach our children from the very beginning to feel what they feel? If you want to cry and you need to cry, cry. Every time my daughter's upset, I'm like, what are you feeling? Tell mama how that feels, because I want her to own her feelings. I don't want her to numb out like I did. So when our children see us doing that, and I talk to her, I'm really honest, sometimes I say to her, I'm really trying hard in this moment to be what you need, but I don't know. I'm not sure how to help you. I'm having a hard time. Mm-hmm. Or if I'm showing emotion, I cry in front of my daughter and she'll say, what's wrong, Mom? And I'll say, well, Mama just feels like this right now because this happened. I'm feeling this. And she gets it, as much as she can. So I guess just, for all of us moms, just feeling liberated, sharing with our children, being open, teaching them by example, it's so powerful. And I don't have this all worked out. I don't know if any of us do or will have, but I see what's working.
Yeah, and just creating that environment for your whole family to be open to share. I think that's because in your story, your environment growing up, even if you wanted to share, your environment wasn't one that would be conducive to even letting that happen. So, so I love that you're sharing this with all the moms out there, because this is something that is, like you said, is transformational in your life and the lives of your family. Because it works for men too. It's not
totally. Yeah, we don't want to exclude the dads here. It's I know I've always worked with women, and I know women better and moms better. But men certainly have their own challenges and struggles, and yeah, they absolutely. Exactly. I mean, we have so many students at ITN who are men that are doing this work and helping men, because it's true for them too. We truly are all in this together.
So Cynthia, I know that in this interview we can't get all the way into it, but where can the listeners find you to learn more about transformational nutrition and what you're doing?
Sure. So I have a few resources for you I'll share. And then I have actually a really cool gift I want to give all the moms. I know. I love moms. I had no idea, by the way, how hard it was going to be until I became a mom. And then I was like,
no, me neither. I thought it was going to be so easy. I didn't hire any right away. I thought that I was just going to have my son sleeping and I was going to be working. I'd wake up and I'd look over and smile and he'd smile back. I had no idea.
It's so funny to hear you say that.
All my clients that were moms, they'd cancel appointments and they did not get septic. And I'm like, oh my God, it's just a baby. Like, really? Why can't you get your act together? And now I'm like, oh my God, I totally understand.
Oh yeah, I love to hear you say that, because I totally thought that I would just work and my kid would just play in the floor beside me really quietly and not need me for anything. And then we'd stop and get lunch together, and then we'd go back. Like, oh my gosh, talk about an awakening that I had. So I'll give you some really cool resources and a really cool gift. First of all, just my website, cynthiapasquella.com. It's Pasquella. Very difficult to spell, I know. But we have so many free resources for you here that you can download and start to use, cheat sheets and amazing blog posts and just things that you can really take and run with. We're also launching a new online show to help people, where we're interviewing other experts to find out what they're really hungry for. It's so cool that we wrapped the first season. We're going to launch it soon. So, and all of that's at cynthiapasquella.com.
Wonderful. And don't worry about the spelling, because we actually have a link right next to the audio here on the page. So don't worry.
smart. You just make it so easy for people. That's awesome. And then for more about transformational nutrition or the Institute of Transformational Nutrition, you can just go to transformationalnutrition.com. Super easy, transformationalnutrition.com. And then the one thing that I want to mention that before I go, Michelle, is I know sometimes this isn't easy to figure out what you're really hungry for and do the right thing and, feed your kids healthy food. So a few years ago, I wrote a book called The Hungry Hottie Cookbook. And it was designed for busy women who want to heal their hearts and their souls as well as their bodies, who want to feed their children great food, but don't have a lot of time. So there's over 110 recipes, each with 10 or fewer ingredients. Most of them have way less, and they're all ready and on the table in 30 minutes or less. There's kid favorites that I've made healthier versions of, like we make hot dogs out of a carrot. Don't judge it until you try it. Trust me on this one. I don't believe it either. But this book has been an international bestseller, and today I want to give your entire audience a free copy of the book.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's going to be so useful. I mean, even if this is the only thing they take away from the entire summit, it's so useful because I actually downloaded it and I make some of the recipes out of it, so I love it.
Oh, good. That's so good to hear. Yeah. So to grab your copy, if you're listening and you think this would serve you in some way, you can go to Hungry Hottie, Hottie, hungryhottie.com/free cookbook. So hungryhottie.com/free cookbook. You can download it all. It's really a cookbook for your body and your life, and you'll learn more again about how to discover what you're really hungry for, and also, practical, amazing recipes that you can make for yourself and for your little ones.
Oh, thank you so much, Cynthia. It's been just so inspirational having you here today. Your story was just, like I said, it brought tears to my eyes once again. But it's just such a wonderful story of transformation. So thank you so much. I really think this is such a valuable and insightful interview.
Thank you, Michelle. And thanks, really, truly, thank you for having me and for giving me an opportunity just to share, hopefully, some of this will really help people in a big way. And I also really want to thank the moms that are listening. And really, can we just take a second and recognize them? Because I know there's a lot you have going on. There's a lot that you need to do. There's a million places you could have been today, but you're here and you showed up for yourself. And for me, that's huge. So I really want to just applaud you for making the commitment to doing better, to living better, to being that amazing mom that you are. Even when it's tough and you feel like the worst mom ever, you're not. You're here and you're taking action. So for me, thank you for being that light in the world and for being you. It's so beautiful to see.
Oh, thank you for that, Cynthia. That's so important to recognize. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for everything. I so appreciate it. It was so wonderful talking to you again, and I will be in touch, and we will be watching your new interview series as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you received a lot of value out of this interview. I know that I did. I want you to open up to the possibility of making this new year the greatest opportunity that you have had so far to improve your life. This is about breaking out of paradigms. It's about learning the art of living. It is about honoring who you are as a woman as you discover who you are as a mother. It is about taking care of your body, mind, and spirit so that you can take better care of your family and be a shining example, a role model for your children so that they can grow up to be healthy, happy, and successful. I promise to continue to bring you educational, empowering, and inspiring content to help you achieve the body that you dream about and the life that you are meant to live. Stay tuned for more value-packed interviews, and be sure to check out all the resources on my website, metabolicmama.com. Until next time, wishing you a happy, healthy, hot day. Take care, mamas.